John Miller checked the meat on the grill and smiled. The burgers sizzled just right. Through the kitchen window, he could see Lisa helping the twins with math homework. His life was good. Simple, but good. John wasn't always a construction foreman. 10 years ago, he wore a different uniform. The Marines had shaped him, taught him skills he hoped never to use again. Skills that kept him alive in places where staying alive wasn't easy. Lisa wasn't always just a mom who worked at the local hospital. As an emergency room nurse, she had seen things that would make most people sick. She knew how bodies worked, how they broke, and how to fix them. Her hands stayed steady when blood flowed and lives hung in the balance. Their 7-year-old twins. Ben and Amy sat at the kitchen table. They were good kids. Smart, too. Ben had John's quick thinking. Amy had Lisa's sharp eyes that missed nothing. "Almost dinner time," John called through the open window. 10 more minutes." Lisa looked up and smiled. "Kids, go wash your hands soon." None of them knew they were being watched. High above the Miller home, hidden by technology humans couldn't yet imagine, Commander Vextrel studied the family through advanced sensors. His gray skin had a blue tint in the dim light of the command center. 4 eyes blinked in sequence as he observed the targets. "These are the specimens?" he asked the science officer beside him. "Yes, Commander." "The offspring show excellent genetic markers. Their physical capabilities already exceed Xeraxian children twice their age. The female child's brain patterns are particularly interesting." Vextrel nodded. "Prepare the extraction team. Remind them these are primitives from a death world. Their strength may surprise you, but their minds are simple. They cannot comprehend our technology." 12 soldiers prepared in the deployment bay. They checked weapons designed to stun rather than kill. The children were valuable. The parents were not. "Remember your training?" the squad leader said. "Earth gravity is 1.4 times our standard. Their atmosphere is oxygen-rich and will enhance your reflexes, but the natives are adapted to these conditions. Do not underestimate their physical capabilities." The soldiers nodded. They had done extractions on 17 worlds. This was routine. Back in the Miller home, John was bringing the burgers inside. Lisa set the table while the twins washed their hands. "Can we watch a movie after dinner?" Amy asked. "School night," Lisa reminded her. "But maybe 30 minutes of something short." John placed the plate of burgers on the table, then he stopped. Something felt wrong. 20 years of instinct from battlefields across Earth kicked in. He glanced at Lisa and saw that she felt it. "Two kids," John said casually. "Why don't you go pick out that movie now? We'll call you when the table's ready." Ben looked confused. "But dinner's—" "Go on," Lisa said with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Just a quick pick." When the twins left the room, John moved to the kitchen drawer. Inside was a handgun he kept locked and hidden. Lisa didn't approve, but she understood. Old habits die hard. "What is it?" she whispered. "Not sure, just a feeling." The air in the living room shimmered. John saw it from the corner of his eye. "Not heat waves, something else. Something not natural." The first alien materialized beside the couch. Tall, gray-blue skin, 4 eyes, wearing what looked like armor. John didn't hesitate. He raised the gun. Before he could fire, 2 more aliens appeared behind him. One fired a weapon that made no sound. John felt his muscles lock up. He fought against it, managed to turn slightly, but fell to the floor. Lisa screamed, not in fear but in rage. She grabbed a kitchen knife and lunged at the nearest alien. The blade connected with something that wasn't quite skin and wasn't quite armor. Green fluid leaked out. The alien made a high-pitched sound that had to be pain. More aliens appeared. One grabbed Lisa from behind. She kicked backward, connecting with what might have been a knee joint. The alien dropped her, but another fired the same silent weapon. Lisa collapsed beside John. They could still see, still hear, still think, but they couldn't move. "The offspring," one alien said in strangely accented English. "Secure them." John fought against the paralysis with everything he had. A finger twitched. Not enough. Not nearly enough. From down the hall came the sounds of the twins screaming, then Ben yelling, "Dad! Mom!" Footsteps running, the aliens moved quickly toward the sounds. John managed to roll onto his side. The paralysis was wearing off faster than it should. The aliens had underestimated human metabolism. Or maybe they had underestimated a father's will. Lisa was moving too, pushing herself up on one elbow. Her nurse's training let her understand what was happening to her body. She controlled her breathing, sped up her heart rate, pushed the alien toxin through her system faster. More sounds from down the hall. Amy crying, Ben shouting, things breaking. Specimen secured, an alien voice reported. John got to his knees, then his feet. The room spun around him. He staggered toward the hallway, using the wall for support. 3 aliens came back into the living room. 2 carried the twins, who kicked and screamed in their arms. The 3rd alien saw John standing and made a sound of surprise. Impossible, it said. John lunged forward. His body still wasn't working right, but he connected with the alien. They both went down. John's fist found what he hoped was a face and struck hard. Lisa was up too. Grabbing at the alien holding Amy, her fingers found pressure points that worked on human anatomy and apparently worked on alien anatomy too. The creature's arms spasmed, nearly dropping Amy, but there were too many of them. The paralysis hadn't worn off enough. An alien struck John from behind. Another pulled Lisa away. Parents show unusual resistance, one alien said into a device on its wrist, requesting immediate extraction. The air shimmered again. John saw a doorway appear in the middle of his living room, leading to a metal corridor that couldn't possibly be there. "No!" he shouted, diving forward one last time. His hand caught something on one alien's belt, a small device that came loose. With his other hand, he grabbed the leg of the alien carrying Ben. "Dad!" Ben cried, reaching down. Their fingers touched. For just a second before the aliens moved through the doorway. It closed behind them, leaving John holding a strange alien device and nothing else. Lisa crawled to him. The twins were gone. The house was quiet outside. Neighbors had heard the commotion. Someone was calling the police. Someone else was coming to the door. John looked at the device in his hand, then at Lisa. Her eyes were hard, focused. Not the eyes of someone broken, but of someone planning. "We'll get them back," she said. John nodded. He knew what they had to do next. His old footlocker in the garage contained things from a life he thought he'd left behind. Equipment, contacts. "Yes, we will." The alien device in his hand blinked with a steady green light. A tracker maybe, or something else useful. Either way, it was a start, and the aliens who took their children had just made the worst mistake of their lives. The police didn't believe them. Of course they didn't. Aliens? Officer Pete Jenkins wrote in his notebook without looking up. "And they took your kids through a portal in your living room?" John and Lisa sat on their couch, the same spot where, just hours ago, their children had been taken. Lisa held the small alien device, turning it over in her hands. "We know how it sounds," John said. His voice was calm, but his eyes were not. "But look at these burn marks on the wall. The strange residue, and this." He pointed to the device. Officer Jenkins glanced at it. "Some kind of foreign tech. Could be anything. Look, we'll file a missing persons report for the twins. But this alien stuff." After the police left, promising little and delivering less, Lisa looked at John. "Garage," she said. John nodded and led the way. At the back of the garage, behind old paint cans and holiday decorations, was a footlocker with 3 locks. John opened each one and lifted the lid. Inside was a life he'd left behind. Military-grade equipment. Communication devices not available. To civilians, weapons that weren't strictly legal. Maps and manuals with classified stamped across them. "Will any of this help us find a spaceship?" Lisa asked. John pulled out a phone that looked ordinary but wasn't. "Not directly, but I know someone who might." He dialed a number he hadn't called in years. "Frank, it's John Miller. I need help, the kind we can't talk about on the phone." 2 hours later, a truck pulled into their driveway. The man who got out was tall with a gray beard and sharp eyes. Frank Dixon had served with John in places that didn't officially exist, doing things that never officially happened. "Inside," John said. leading him through the house. Frank examined the alien device. The burn marks, the strange residue that the police had dismissed. He didn't laugh, he didn't doubt. He just listened as they told their story. "I believe you," he said when they finished. "And not just because we've seen things that would make most men doubt their sanity. This device," he held up the alien, "tech, isn't from any Earth military or corporation. I'd stake my life on it. Can you help us track them?" Lisa asked. Frank nodded slowly. "Maybe. I work security for Aerosphere now. Private space company. We have access to satellite networks, tracking systems the public doesn't know about." He connected the alien device to his laptop. Lines of code scrolled across the screen. "It's putting out a signal," he said. "Very weak, very strange frequency, but if we boost it D, typed rapidly. There, now we just need to ... A map appeared on the screen. The solar system. A blinking dot moved slowly near Jupiter. "That's them," Frank said. "A ship in orbit around Jupiter. Moving slow, maybe preparing for something bigger." Lisa leaned forward. "How do we get to Jupiter?" Frank and John exchanged looks. "Aerosphere has a prototype," Frank said carefully. "Small craft, two-person, designed for orbital maintenance. Not made for deep space, but with modifications ... How soon?" John asked. 3 days minimum. "And that's calling in every favor I have." "The twins don't have 3 days," Lisa said. She had been examining the residue left by the aliens using her medical knowledge. "Based on their biology, what I'm seeing here, they're not studying our kids. They're harvesting from them." John's face hardened. 2 days, Frank, no more," Frank nodded. "I'll make calls." Lisa went to the hospital, claiming a family emergency. She needed supplies. Medical equipment. Drugs that could work on human-like. Biology. She knew which doctors didn't count their inventory too closely. John emptied the footlocker. Weapons. Tactical gear. Communication devices. Things he'd hoped never to use again. At the kitchen table, they planned as they had in their previous lives. John mapping approaches and attack strategies. Lisa working out biological weaknesses, pressure points, chemical compounds that might affect alien biology. "We're just 2 people," Lisa said, looking at their plans. "Against how many?" "Doesn't matter," John replied. "We have advantages they don't expect." "Like what? We're from Earth? A death world, they called it?" "That means we're stronger, faster, more durable than they are. And..." He looked at her, his eyes showing a fire she hadn't seen in years. "They took our kids." 48 hours later, they stood in a hangar at a private airfield. Before them was a craft unlike anything publicly known. Small, sleek, built for 2 pilots. Not designed for the journey they planned. Frank handed John a tablet. "I've loaded everything we know about that ship's position. The craft has been modified, with extra fuel cells, life support, and some defensive capabilities that officially don't exist. Will it get us there?" Lisa asked. "To Jupiter? Yes, back, that depends on you." They changed into flight suits designed for space travel. Lisa packed her medical supplies and the compounds she had created. John checked and rechecked the weapons. As they prepared to board, a black SUV screeched into the hangar. 4 men and a woman in dark suits stepped out. "Federal agents," the woman announced, showing a badge. "This launch facility is now under quarantine, national security." Frank stepped forward. "Agent Price, I can explain." "Save it, Dixon," she said. "We picked up unusual communications. Satellite tracking of non-terrestrial objects, and now an unauthorized launch." She looked at John and Lisa. "You two in the SUV now." John tensed, ready to fight. Lisa put a hand on his arm. "Our children?" "We're taken," Lisa said, her voice steady. "By something not from Earth. We have less than 24 hours before that ship leaves our solar system with our kids on it." Agent Price stared at her. "You expect me to believe?" Lisa held out the alien device. "Scan it, test it. Do whatever you need to do in the next 5 minutes. Then either arrest us or help us." Something in Lisa's eyes made Agent Price pause. She took the device, studied it, then spoke quietly into her radio. The response made her. Eyes widen, she turned to her agents. Secure the perimeter. No one in or out. Then to John and Lisa. You have 10 minutes to convince me. 9 minutes later, Agent Price was on her secure phone. Sir, we have a first contact situation. Yes, sir, hostile. No, sir, they've already left orbit with human children. Yes. 2 civilians are prepared to pursue. Former military and medical. I understand the protocols, sir, but they're going with or without authorization, and frankly, they're our best shot. She listened, then handed the phone to Frank. Your launch just got official clearance and additional resources. Government technicians swarmed the craft, installing communication equipment and weapon systems that even Frank hadn't known existed. You'll maintain contact as long as possible, Agent Price told them. This frequency will reach us even from Jupiter. As John and Lisa boarded the craft, Price handed them each small metal cases, latest prototype combat stims. For humans operating. In extreme conditions, use only if absolutely necessary. The launch countdown began. John took the pilot's seat, running through procedures that felt familiar despite years away from combat aircraft. Ready? He asked Lisa. She secured her harness and thought of the twins. Ready? The hangar roof opened to the night sky. The craft's engines hummed with power that shouldn't be possible with current technology. Launching in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The small ship shot upward, leaving Earth behind. Ahead lay Jupiter, a giant looming in the blackness of space. And orbiting it, aliens who had made the mistake of taking children from parents who were far more dangerous than they, appeared. In the vastness between worlds, a hunt had begun. Space was cold and dark. John and Lisa had been traveling for 30 hours. Their small ship moved faster than should be possible, thanks to technology that wasn't supposed to exist yet. Jupiter grew larger in their view screen. Signal is getting stronger, Lisa said, watching the tracker. The alien ship is still in orbit around the gas giant. John checked their course. TA 20 minutes, activating stealth systems. The tiny craft hummed as special panels absorbed radar and light. They would be nearly invisible to most detection systems. What's the plan when we reach them? Lisa asked. We find a way in, we find the kids, we get out? John's voice was calm, but his knuckles were white on the controls. Lisa nodded. Simple plans were often best. And if we meet resistance? John glanced at the weapons they had brought. Then they learn what happens when you take children from Earth. Miles away on the massive Xeraxian ship, Ben and Amy Miller sat in a clear-walled cell. They were scared but not crying anymore. Ben had his arm around his little sister. Dad will come for us, he told her. Remember what he always says about never leaving anyone behind? Amy nodded. Mom too. She'd be really mad. A Xeraxian scientist watched them through the clear wall. These human children were fascinating. Their vital signs remained strong despite stress. Their bones were dense, muscles efficient. And their brain activity was remarkable. Commander Vextrol entered the observation room. Report, Dr. Zimena, the scientist pointed to readouts. The specimens adapt quickly. They show physical resilience above our projections. And their threat assessment capabilities are unusually developed for juveniles. Explain, Vextrol. Ordered, they are mapping our ship, observing patrol patterns. Testing boundaries. These are not just frightened children. They are collecting data. Vextrol studied the twins. Interesting. Can you accelerate the extraction process? Inadvisable? Commander. Rush the process and we risk damaging valuable tissue. Very well. Maintain schedule. We jump to home space in 12 hours. As Vextrol left, Amy whispered to Ben, Did you hear that? 12 hours, Ben nodded. He had been counting steps between places on the ship, memorizing the faces of different aliens, just like the games Dad played with them on camping trips. We need to be ready when Mom and Dad come. Back on the approaching craft, John and Lisa prepared for boarding. They changed into tactical gear with oxygen masks. Their research suggested Xeraxian atmosphere would be breathable but unpleasant for humans. Scan shows an emergency airlock on the lower quadrant, John said. Maintenance access probably. Lisa finished checking her medical kit. Inside were both healing supplies and weapons. Sedatives that could drop a human in seconds. Paralytics designed based on the residue left by the aliens. Her hands were steady, ER nurses didn't get rattled easily. "We're in range," John said. "Beginning approach." He guided their craft toward Jupiter's rings, using the ice and rock as cover. The alien ship was enormous, easily the size of an aircraft carrier. Finding two small children aboard would be like finding two specific ants in a shopping mall. "Good thing we have this," Lisa said, holding up the tracker. The signal from the alien device John had grabbed was being answered by something on the ship. Possibly the twins. They approached the ship from beneath, where fewer sensors would be looking. The emergency airlock came into view. "I'll need to override it," John said. "Get ready." Lisa put on her oxygen mask and checked John's. Years of medical training made safety second nature. John maneuvered their craft next to the alien ship and extended a docking tube. The magnetic clamps engaged with a dull thump. He worked on the airlock controls, using techniques learned in special operations for defeating unknown security systems. "Got it," he said after several tense minutes. The airlock opened, alien air mixed with theirs. The masks filtered most problems, but Lisa's eyes still watered. "Breathable, but toxic with prolonged exposure," she said. "Masks stay on." They entered the Xyraxian ship through a maintenance tunnel. The gravity was lighter than Earth's, making them feel stronger. The air was warmer, the lights dimmer than humans preferred. "Which way?" John whispered. Lisa checked the tracker. "Signal is strongest that way." She pointed down a corridor to their right. They moved quietly. John in front with a weapon, Lisa behind watching their backs. The maintenance tunnels were empty, but they could hear movement beyond the walls. After 20 minutes of careful navigation, they reached a junction. Lisa checked the tracker again. "Signal is directly above us now." John found an access panel in the ceiling. He lifted Lisa up to open it. They climbed into another level of the ship. This area was different, cleaner, better lit, and there were voices ahead. John gestured for Lisa to stay back. He crept forward and peered around a corner. Two Xyraxian guards stood outside a door. They were tall, with 4 arms, each holding weapons. Their blue-gray skin glistened under the lights. John retreated back to Lisa. 2 guards, armed, but they're not wearing much armor. Lisa nodded. "Remember what Frank said? Jupiter's gravity is close to their home world. They're comfortable here, not expecting threats. We have surprise on our side. And Earth gravity has made us stronger than they are." John checked his weapon. "Ready?" Lisa pulled out 2 small darts filled with the paralytic compound she had created. "Ready." They moved together with practiced efficiency. Before the guards could react, Lisa's darts found exposed skin on their necks. John tackled one guard as it raised an alarm device. Lisa struck pressure points on the second guard, just as she would on a human body to cause unconsciousness. Both aliens dropped without making a sound. "The door," John said, moving toward it. "Can you open it?" Lisa examined the control panel. It was alien technology but followed logical patterns. She tried several combinations before the door slid open. Inside was not what they expected. Not a cell holding their children, but a laboratory. And on screens around the room were images of Ben and Amy. Data scrolled beside the images. Medical data. "They're studying them," Lisa whispered, horror in her voice. John checked the screens, looking for location information. "There," he pointed to a map of the ship. A blinking light showed a detention area 3 levels down. A sound behind them made them turn. A Xyraxian in a lab coat stood in the doorway, 4 eyes wide with shock at finding aliens in the ship's laboratory. Before the alien could react, John moved. He crossed the room faster than the Xyraxian thought possible for a primitive species. One quick strike to what seemed to be a throat, and the scientist collapsed. "We need to move," John said. "They'll notice these 3 missing soon." Lisa was downloading data from the alien computers to a device Frank had given them. Almost done. This could help Earth prepare if more of them come. Alarms suddenly blared throughout the ship. Lights flashed. A voice spoke in an alien language. then switched to rough English. Security breach in medical sector. Unknown intruders. All units respond. John grabbed Lisa's arm. Time's up. We find the kids now. They ran back to the maintenance tunnels, following the map they'd seen. Behind them, the sounds of many feet echoed. The hunt was on, but the hunters didn't realize they were facing parents from Earth, and nothing in the universe is more dangerous than that. Commander Vextrel stared at the security feeds in disbelief. 2 humans were on his ship. Just 2. And they had already disabled 3 Xeraxians without setting off alarms until they were discovered by chance. Impossible, he said. How did they follow us? How did they get aboard? His security chief looked nervous. The intruders appear to be the parents of the specimens. They move with military precision, and they are strong, Commander. Stronger than our simulations predicted. Deploy the elite guards, Vextrel ordered. All of them. All 20. For just 2 primitives? Vextrel pointed at the screen showing an unconscious scientist. Does that look like the work of primitives? Deploy them now. Deep in the maintenance tunnels, John and Lisa moved quickly. The map they had seen showed the way to the detention level. The tracker signal grew stronger as they descended through the ship. Guards ahead, John whispered, peeking around a corner. 4 Xeraxians blocked the passage. They wore better armor than the previous guards, and their weapons looked more serious. Lisa reached into her pack and pulled out a small canister. Cover your face, she whispered. John pulled up the special mask that Agent Price had given them. Lisa did the same, then rolled the canister toward the guards. It released a cloud of gas. Based on the compounds she had created from studying the alien residue, the guards saw the canister too late. They reached for their masks, but the gas worked quickly. All 4 dropped to the floor. How long will they stay down? John asked as they stepped over the unconscious aliens. 20 minutes, maybe less. Their metabolism is faster than ours. They continued down the corridor until they reached a security door. Beyond it would be the detention cells, according to the map. I can't hack this one, John said, studying the complex lock. We need another way. Lisa pointed to a maintenance hatch in the ceiling. Air ducts? John boosted her up. She opened the hatch and climbed inside, then helped pull John up. The duct was narrow, but just big enough for humans to crawl through. Which way? John asked. Lisa checked the tracker. Left. They crawled through the ship's ventilation system. Below them, they could hear aliens running, searching for the intruders. Alarm. Sounds continued to blare. After several minutes of crawling, Lisa stopped. Signal is strongest here. They peered through a vent and saw a large room with clear-walled cells. Most were empty, but in one, the kids, John whispered. Ben and Amy sat together in a cell. They looked unhurt but tired. A single guard watched them while a scientist took notes on a tablet. John was about to remove the vent cover when a door opened. Commander Vextrel entered with 4 elite guards. These aliens wore full armor and carried larger weapons. Prepare the specimens for transfer, Vextrel ordered. We accelerate the jump sequence, 1 hour until departure. The scientist looked concerned. Commander, the extraction process is delicate. Rushing could damage. We have intruders, Vextrel cut him off. The parents have somehow followed us. They are far more dangerous than expected. In the cell, Ben and Amy exchanged looks. Their parents were here. John leaned close to Lisa's ear. We take them now, before they move the kids. Lisa nodded. She handed John 2 more paralytic darts and took 2 for herself. Then she pulled out a small device Frank had given them. P should disable their systems for 30 seconds, John nodded. He positioned himself over the vent, ready to drop down. Lisa held the EMP device in one hand, darts in the other. 3, 2, 1, John whispered. Lisa activated the EMP. The lights flickered and died. Emergency lighting came on, bathing the room in dim blue. The cell doors clicked as the locks reset. John kicked open the vent and dropped into the room. Lisa followed. They landed between the cells and the guards. The elite guards reacted quickly despite the darkness. One fired at John, but in the dim light the shot went wide. John threw his first dart, hitting the guard in the neck. The alien staggered but didn't fall. Stronger than the others, John said, moving to engage hand-to-hand. Lisa ran toward the cells. The scientist tried to block her, but Lisa used her knowledge of pressure points. She struck what appeared to be nerve clusters in the alien's shoulder and neck. The scientist collapsed. The cell door was unlocked from the EMP. Lisa pulled it open. Ben, Amy, the twins ran to her. Mom, they hugged her tightly. We need to go, Lisa said. Where's Dad? They turned to see John fighting 3 elite guards at once. His military training made him deadly even against aliens. He moved faster than they expected, used their weight against them. 1 guard was down. John grappled with another, but the 3rd guard aimed its weapon at John's back. Dad! Ben shouted. Commander Vextrel stood by the door, watching in shock as a single human fought his best guards. He drew his own weapon when he saw the human female and offspring trying to escape. Stop or I fire, he called in English. Lisa pushed the twins behind her and faced Vextrel. Her eyes were cold and hard. You took our children. They are valuable specimens, Vextrel said. Your species has potential we can use. Wrong, Lisa said. Our species is something you should fear. She threw her last dart with perfect accuracy. It struck Vextrel in the neck. The commander pulled it out quickly, but some of the compound had already entered his system. Weak, he said, stepping forward. Your weapons are too weak for his legs buckled. He caught himself but seemed confused. What is happening? I studied your biology, Lisa said, advancing on him. Earth has predators with venom that paralyzes. I created something similar, but better, something just for you. Behind them, John took down the last elite guard. The one about to shoot him in the back was now unconscious on the floor, felled by a surprise attack from Ben, who had grabbed a fallen weapon and struck the alien from behind. Good job, son, John said, catching his breath. Ben smiled proudly. I remembered what you taught me. John joined Lisa, who stood over the now kneeling commander. Vextrel could still move, but was struggling. You can't escape, the commander said. This ship has hundreds of crew, and we jump to our home system in less than an hour. John looked at Lisa. We need to move. Back to our ship, Lisa nodded. She took Amy's hand while John took Ben's. They headed for the door. Wait, Vextrel called. What are you? John looked back at the alien commander. We're parents from Earth, remember that. They ran into the corridor, a family reunited. But they were still deep inside an alien ship, with more guards surely coming, and a ticking clock before the ship would jump beyond their reach. The hardest part of their mission was still ahead. Alarms blared throughout the massive alien ship. Red lights flashed in every corridor. The voice system repeated the same message over and over. Jump sequence initiating. All crew secure stations. Time to jump. 45 minutes. John, Lisa, and the twins ran through the maintenance tunnels. John led the way, following the path they had used to enter. Lisa brought up the rear, making sure no one followed. Are you both okay? Lisa asked the twins as they ran. Did they hurt you? We're okay, Mom, Amy said. They just did tests. They took blood and scanned us a lot, Ben added. I tried to remember everything like Dad taught us. John smiled despite their danger. You did great, buddy. Both of you. Now we need to get back to our ship and go home. They reached a junction where 3 tunnels met. John paused, trying to remember which way they had come. That one, Lisa said, pointing to the right tunnel. I marked it with this. She showed a small scratch she had made on the wall. They continued through the tunnel until they reached a ladder. Leading down, our ship is docked 2 levels below, John said. He went down first, then helped the children. Lisa came last, keeping watch as they descended to the next level. They heard voices below. Alien voices speaking their strange language. John signaled everyone to stop and be quiet. He carefully peered down to the next level. 6 Zaraxian guards stood near the airlock where their ship was docked. They found our ship, he whispered to Lisa. What do we do? She asked. John thought for a moment. We need a distraction. Ben tugged at his father's sleeve. Dad, I saw something when they took us through the ship. There's a big room with glowing tubes. The aliens were really careful around it. One called it the engine core in English. John and Lisa exchanged looks. Where was it? John asked. 2 corridors that way, Ben pointed. It had yellow markings. If we could cause a problem there, Lisa began. They'd have to respond, John finished. Especially with the jump coming soon. John reached into his pack and pulled out a small device. It was black with a timer on top. Is that a bomb? Amy asked, her eyes wide. No, honey. It's an electromagnetic pulse generator, like the small one Mom used, but bigger. It won't hurt anyone, but it will make their systems go crazy. I'll take it, Lisa said, holding out her hand. You get the kids to the ship. I'll set this off and meet you there. John shook his head. Too dangerous to split up. There's no time to argue, Lisa said firmly. You're the better pilot. If I'm not back in 20 minutes, you take off without... Mom, no. Ben protested. Lisa knelt down and hugged both children. I'll be right behind you. I promise. She looked up at John. 20 minutes, not 1 second more. John wanted to argue but knew she was right. He handed her the device. Setting 3 will give you 10 minutes before it activates. Lisa nodded and checked her watch. The ship jumps in 40 minutes. Be ready to fly? Before John could say anything else, Lisa kissed him quickly, then turned and ran down the corridor in the direction Ben had indicated. Come on, John said to the twins, his voice tight. We need to move. Lisa found the engine room right where Ben had described. Yellow markings on the walls. Warning signs in the alien language. The door was locked, but she used a tool from John's pack to force it open. Inside, the room hummed with power. Giant tubes of blue energy pulsed from floor to ceiling. Control panels lined the walls. 2 Xeraxian engineers looked up in shock as she entered. Lisa didn't hesitate. She threw her last 2 paralytic darts, hitting both engineers before they could sound an alarm. They collapsed to the floor. She moved quickly to what looked like the main control area. She placed the EMP device under the console, set it for 10 minutes and activated it. The timer began counting down. That should keep them busy, she muttered, then turned to leave. As she reached the door, it slid open. Commander Vextrel stood there, his 4 eyes narrowed in anger. He had recovered from the paralytic and looked furious. Human, he hissed. You will not stop us. He was alone but carried a large weapon. Lisa stepped back, looking for another exit. There wasn't one. Meanwhile, John and the twins reached the level where their ship was docked. The guards were still there, watching the airlock. When Mom sets off that device, they'll be called away, John whispered. We need to be ready to move. They waited, hidden in the shadows of the maintenance tunnel. Minutes ticked by slowly. Suddenly, a massive shudder ran through the entire ship. Lights flickered. The alarm sound changed, becoming more urgent. Alert, engine core disruption. All security to engine level. Jump sequence compromised. The guards looked at each other in alarm. They spoke rapidly in their language, then ran off toward the emergency. Now, John said. He led the twins quickly to the airlock. Their small ship was still there, untouched. He opened the airlock and ushered the children inside. Get strapped in. Ben looked back toward the ship. But Mom... She be here, John said with more confidence than he felt. He checked his watch. Lisa had set the device nearly 15 minutes ago. She should have been back by now. In the engine room, Lisa faced the angry commander. He raised his weapon. Your device will not stop the jump, he said. It will only delay it. And you will not leave this ship alive. Lisa glanced at a reflection in a metal panel. The EMP device's timer showed less than 1 minute. She needed to keep him talking. Why did you take our children? She asked. There are billions of humans. Why them? Vextrel seemed proud to explain. Your offspring showed genetic markers of interest. Adaptability, resilience, qualities we can use to enhance our soldiers. You made a mistake, Lisa said, taking a small step to the side. Not because they're special, though they are, but because they have us as parents. Parents, Vextrel scoffed. A primitive concept. No, Lisa said. The most powerful force in the universe. The timer reached 0. The EMP device activated with a high-pitched whine. Every system in the engine room went dark. Emergency lights flickered on, then off again. Vextral's weapon powered down in his hands. In the darkness, Lisa moved. Her time in emergency rooms had taught her to navigate by touch when needed. She slipped past the confused commander and ran into the corridor. Throughout the ship, systems failed. Doors opened and closed randomly. Gravity fluctuated. Chaos spread as the Xeraxians tried to understand what was happening. Lisa ran toward the airlock, using the confusion to move undetected. She reached the level where their ship was docked and saw John standing at the open airlock. "John," she called. He turned, relief washing over his face. "Lisa, hurry!" She ran to him and they entered the airlock together. The twins cheered when they saw their mother. "The EMP worked better than expected," Lisa said as they sealed the airlock. "But they'll recover soon. We need to go now." John took the pilot's seat and fired up the engines. The small craft detached from the Xeraxian ship just as its systems began to come back online. "Hold on," John said, pushing the engines to full power. The craft shot away from the alien vessel, heading back toward Earth. Behind them, the Xeraxian ship's lights fully returned. Its massive engines glowed as it prepared to resume the jump sequence. "Are they following us?" Lisa asked, watching the rear sensors. John checked the displays. "No, they're still focused on their jump sequence. We hurt them, but they're recovering." The family watched as the alien ship began to shimmer, energy building around it. Then, in a flash of light, it vanished. The jump was complete. The Xeraxians were gone. Ben and Amy hugged their parents. For a moment, the small cabin was filled with nothing but the sound of a family holding each other tight. "Let's go home," John said softly. Their small ship turned toward Earth, a tiny vessel in the vastness of space. Inside were 4 humans from a planet classified as a death world, a planet where even the parents were forces to be reckoned with. Somewhere across the galaxy, Commander Vextral would deliver his report to Xeraxian High Command. The report would contain a clear warning. Earth is not to be approached again. Its inhabitants, especially its parents, are far too dangerous to provoke. And in a suburban home on that distant blue planet, life would eventually return to normal. John would grill in the backyard. Lisa would help with homework. But their footlocker would remain unlocked, just in case, because when you're parents from Earth, you're always ready to protect your children. Even if it means facing down an alien armada.